right, and we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing today? So we are going to be doing our CartRover webinar today. This is our first CartRover webinar, and this is my first webinar that I'm hosting as well. My name is Adriana. You guys may have interacted with me on support. I am part of the support team here at inFlow, and I am joined with one of our senior project or product managers, Shivani, as well as another member of our support team, Kostya. So again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Yeah.
Good good afternoon. Yes, good morning, good evening, everyone. My name is Kostya, yes, and I represent also a support team in inFlow.
Hi, everybody. This is Shivani. I'm a product manager here. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone.
So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it and share our slides here for CartRover. So for anyone who doesn't know, CartRover is one of our new mega e-commerce integrations that's essentially allowed us to integrate with multiple different integrations at once. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and share here. Here we go. All right, so today's topics, first and foremost, we're going to be going over what CartRover is. I did give a little brief summary here, but we'll go into a little bit more detail, an overview of it, what you'll need in order to connect with it as well. Secondly, we'll be going over the setup, so actually connecting CartRover to inFlow, as well as the API access. So you will need an API key from CartRover in order to connect. We'll give that little demo today, and then any additional settings as well. And then lastly, we'll be going over a demo of the features of the integration and showing you exactly what the integration can do between CartRover and your e-commerce platforms. All right, so we'll start off with the overview. To start, we've had a lot of requests over the years to integrate with different e-commerce platforms. And this CartRover integration, as mentioned before, has allowed inFlow to connect with a lot of these highly requested platforms all at once. So it also essentially allowed us to build out one single integration versus building out an integration for, Etsy, Walmart, eBay, which would have taken us a much longer time. So it allows you to keep track of your inventory levels, your shipment information for your shipment orders, and order fulfillment all in one place. And as mentioned, you can also connect more than one e-commerce platform at a time. So we'll go into that. And just as some examples, we have a full list of the supported platforms here on the CartRover page. So Kostya, if you don't mind linking that to the chat, just so our customers here can take a look to see what integrations may suit them. But a few of our top examples here are BigCommerce, which is actually what we're going to be demoing today. For you guys. Magento, we've got Walmart Marketplace, Etsy, and eBay. So all of those are a couple examples of what you can connect to inFlow via CartRover. And as I previously mentioned as well, the three main functions of the CartRover integration is pushing inventory levels. So you can push your inventory levels from inFlow to CartRover and then subsequently whatever e-commerce platform you're connecting. You can push your shipping information. So by shipping information, we mean your carrier information like FedEx or UPS and your tracking number. You can get that pushed right over from inFlow to CartRover and again, subsequently your e-commerce platform. And last but not least, we've also got order pulling, and that's probably the top function a lot of people are looking for to pull their orders from their e-commerce platform to CartRover and then to inFlow. All right, we'll go over what you need in order to get started. So first I'll mention this integration is available to all inFlow Cloud customers, and it actually only counts as one integration towards your package limit. So for anyone who is familiar with their package limits, some of our packages here have a limit of 2 integrations that you can connect at once or 5 integrations. And luckily CartRover, it only counts as one integration, even if you have multiple e-commerce platforms connected at once. So I'll kind of go into that here. First thing that you'll need is a CartRover merchant account. The pricing for CartRover can be found on their CartRover page. You will need to have a separate CartRover account as mentioned. You guys can look over that pricing information separately. Kostya, if you don't mind throwing that in the chat as well, that would be perfect. Each merchant package includes one cart integration. And by cart integration, I just mean e-commerce platform. That's what CartRover's term is for that. So for example, if you sign up with CartRover, you can have one integration. So you can choose that to be BigCommerce, like we'll be using as our example today. And that'll be the one integration you have. Any additional integrations that you'd like to add on to that merchant account are an additional fee per month. And again, you can see that in the pricing page there. Second thing that you'll need is an actual account with your selected e-commerce platform. Of course, if you're looking to connect your BigCommerce account to inFlow, you're going to actually need a BigCommerce account as well. But those are the two main things. And we'll go into the setup here. So setting up is pretty easy. So like I mentioned, you'll need to just have a CartRover merchant account. You can start a free trial with them. I believe their trial is about 21 days. And again, you'll want that merchant account there. Secondly, you're going to want to enter in your CartRover API key into inFlow's setup window. That API key can be found in the WMS section once you're signed into your CartRover account. You're going to want to choose API access only as your WMS, and then click on that test WMS account so you can view your actual API credentials. And this will allow you to input that into inFlow and access your CartRover account. So I'm going to go over a demo in just a moment here. But something to note before connecting inFlow and CartRover completely, and this is a pretty important one, is to set up matching products in inFlow and your e-commerce platform and CartRover. One stipulation we have with CartRover is that any products that you have in inFlow will need to match via a SKU number. That's non-negotiable. You can't match with product name. You can't match with anything else. You have to match with your SKU number there. So that's one of the first things we recommend is just making sure your products are entered into inFlow, CartRover, and of course, your e-commerce platform, all with matching SKUs so they can integrate seamlessly there. As long as the SKUs match, you can have different product names in your e-commerce platform and in your inFlow account. So that won't matter too much. And secondly, we also recommend setting up your locations in CartRover to match the locations that you have in inFlow. And that'll make a little bit more sense when we go over the demo quickly so you can see your integration setting options. All right, so let's head into the demo portion. I'm just going to change my screen here. All right, so for anyone who is familiar with the inFlow web app, this is the homepage for that. The main thing that you'll want to go into is the integrations page on the web app. And so as you can see here, we have our inFlow core integrations that we've already pre-built right at the top here, and you can see that these have been developed by inFlow. So for anyone who's familiar, we have our Amazon, QuickBooks Online, Shopify integration, so on and so forth. But if you scroll down just a bit here, this is where you can connect to CartRover with our third-party integrations. And you can see that developed by CartRover logo here. And just as an aside, if by any chance we don't have a core integration or a third-party integration with any of your e-commerce platforms or any of your platforms in general, we also have a little link to our API access if you guys would like to use the inFlow API directly. And also a link to the API documentation here if you'd like to take a look. But yeah, in order to get started, you're just going to want to click on, honestly, any of these little buttons here. This will take you over to the same setup page. So I'm going to click in here. And it will take you over to a little module that looks very similar to this. And firstly, it will bring you over to a page to create your CartRover account. So as you can see here, I have a couple different check marks. I've already gone in and we already have our test CartRover account here for you. But I'll show you what this looks like. We do have a direct link over to the CartRover sign up page, and it does have an indication to sign up for a single merchant account here. When you go over to that next step, so that second step here, this is where you'll input your CartRover API user and key. And that is the the user and key that you're going to get from your CartRover WMS setup page. And we do have a couple graphics here that we've created on our end just to make it a little bit easier for you guys to find what you're looking for in the CartRover setup section. We also have a little link here to the WMS page, again, to make it easier for you guys when you're setting up. Perfect. And as you guys can see, I already have my API user and key here. So we're just going to move on to the next step. And this is where you set up your CartRover carts. So you do need to have at least one cart set up in CartRover. We've got a couple set up here. We have our WooCommerce and our BigCommerce cart set up. I'll show you guys what that looks like in the CartRover side in just a moment. But again, we have some graphics here to help you guys understand where you need to go in CartRover in order to set up the integration for you. So you will want to go over to your CartRover cart page, select New Setup, and select the integration that you want to add. So I will show you guys what this looks like in just a moment. Sorry about that. I will show you guys what that looks like in just a moment. But something that is really cool on the CartRover side is that they do have a very extensive knowledge base, very similar to inFlow's in the sense that they have a lot of how-to guides on how to set up different integrations. So if you guys are ever confused, there are a lot of different knowledge base buttons within their platform, so you can see any guides that you need in order to further set up the integration there. But you can go ahead and configure your settings, and then you're going to want to return to inFlow and check for carts. So just quickly, I'm going to head over to our CartRover page so you guys can see what that looks like. All right, so this is the WMS page I was talking about earlier. And we're going to go over to that carts page. As you can see, we already have a couple different carts already set up here, but I'm going to do a new setup just so you guys can see what that'll look like. And these are all of the different integrations that CartRover has on their end that you guys can choose from. Here, I'm going to click on the BigCommerce setup. And these are the integration settings that you're going to want to choose when you're setting up your e-commerce platform with CartRover and obviously subsequently inFlow. So I'm going to skip over down to this services section. Here, this is just where you can put a title for your cart. Here, this is where you're going to want to log into your e-commerce platform and provide access to link your BigCommerce setup in this example and CartRover. But here, this is the important stuff. So we've got the services here. And as I mentioned, there's three main portions of this integration that are enabled. So you can pull orders from your e-commerce platform to CartRover, then to inFlow. You can push the shipment information from inFlow to your e-commerce platform and push your inventory levels over from inFlow to your e-commerce platform. And that's what these services here indicate. These here are essentially the intervals at which the order downloads, shipment uploads, and inventory uploads will happen. So firstly, I'll talk about the order downloads. For some reason, automatically your order download in your setup section will be turned off. So if you guys are looking to download orders from your e-commerce platform to inFlow, you're just going to want to enable this. And you can choose at what interval. Oh, I don't think you guys can actually see the drop down. Hold on. All right. Okay. So here are the drop downs here. So as mentioned, automatically it's set to off. So if this isn't changed, none of your orders will be downloaded over to inFlow. But you can choose at what interval you would like your orders to upload to inFlow or download to inFlow. So you could have it be every hour, every 15 minutes, around midnight. This is Pacific Standard Time, just as a heads up. But the one that we recommend is every 5 minutes, as this is the most frequent download that you can have through CartRover. So we're going to go ahead and change that to every 5 minutes here. On the other hand, shipment upload and inventory upload automatically have this setting as automatic, which means they're pretty immediate. So whenever there is a shipment upload from inFlow that needs to be pushed over to CartRover, that will happen automatically. And same goes with the inventory upload there. That should happen automatically. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one of these cart setup options here, because for every single setup, it's going to look a little bit different, just because obviously the options in BigCommerce will probably look a little bit different than the options in Etsy, for example, or Walmart. But if you guys are curious as to what any of these fields mean, you can just hover over this little question mark option, and CartRover will give you a little summary of what this means and what you should probably select. I will go over this order status one though, because it is a pretty crucial field when you are uploading your orders from BigCommerce to CartRover, then to inFlow. And this is essentially the order status that you want CartRover to pull your orders to inFlow for. So, for example, in BigCommerce, we have well over 10 different statuses that your orders can be. This setting means that whenever your orders are set to the status of awaiting fulfillment, this is the moment of which it will be pulled over to inFlow and be pulled into CartRover as well. So this is crucial for you guys to select, because this will just mean that this is the status that will pull over to inFlow. CartRover recommends for this to be set to awaiting fulfillment. I'm just going to keep it as it is, and we'll do a little demo of what the order pulling will look like in just a moment as well. Like I mentioned, I'm not going to go through all of the settings here, but you have some general order options as well as some general inventory options of when you'd like to sync your inventory, what locations you'd like to sync your inventory over to BigCommerce, for example. One thing to note with CartRover is that when you are syncing inventory levels, you can only ever sync inventory levels with one or all locations. So this is an option here. These are some locations we've already added into CartRover. So as a standard, it automatically combines all of your locations and pushes your inventory levels for all locations to BigCommerce, but you can change this option if needed as well. Perfect. And that's what the setup looks like here. I'm not going to go ahead and click OK, because we already have a setup here that we can test with. You can see in the cart section. Right, so I'll move back over to the integration setting option here. All right, so once you're done setting up your CartRover carts, you can just click this check for carts option, and all of the carts that you have set up will automatically appear here. So as I mentioned, we already have our BigCommerce set up here, and we have WooCommerce as well. So we're going to go ahead and click on Next to go over the final portion of the integration setting. All right, so these are already some of you may be familiar with these if you've ever set up a Shopify integration or a WooCommerce integration. So it's very similar, but we have a little disclaimer here at the top here. But basically, these are customizable options for you to pull in your sales orders, push your stock levels, and shipping information automatically. As previously mentioned, definitely remember to set your product SKUs and just make sure that they match in inFlow, CartRover, and all of your other integrations as well. But to start, so this section here is the mapping for your CartRover locations to your inFlow locations. So as I mentioned before, you're going to want to set up your CartRover locations to match your inFlow locations, just to make it easier and to make it a little bit more seamless there. So these locations here are locations that are pulled directly from the CartRover integration. So we've got our Carlaw office and our Portugal office. You can choose to enable or disable whichever locations you'd like. So that's completely up to you and your workflow. And you can also choose which locations are taking stock from the locations in inFlow. So the locations on the left side here are for CartRover, and the locations on the right side here are for inFlow. So just to make everything a little bit more seamless, I'm going to map my CartRover locations to the locations I have that are named the exact same in inFlow. So I'm going to map my Carlaw office to my Carlaw office, and my Portugal office to my Portugal office. But you can choose to push your inventory levels from all of your inFlow locations combined to a subsequent CartRover location. So again, that's completely up to you and your workflow, whatever you'd prefer there. All right, so scrolling down a bit here, these options are also optional, but you can choose whether or not you would like to have your push inventory levels to CartRover option enabled or disabled, and same with your push shipping information options. You can choose to have that enabled or disabled depending on your workflow. One important thing to note about the shipping information sync as well is that shipping information is only pushed once when an entire sales order is fulfilled in inFlow. Any updates to shipping information on that order afterwards will not be pushed to CartRover. So this is just a little limitation with the CartRover integration. As mentioned, we only push your shipping information once your inFlow order has been completely fulfilled. And if you do make any updates to the shipping information once it's been pushed over to CartRover, you will need to update that manually in the subsequent CartRover and, in this example, BigCommerce platforms. So just something to keep in mind if you do ever need to update the carrier information or the tracking number for any reason. So we'll just keep both of these enabled here. And then we'll go over to the pull orders integration settings section as well. So this, we keep it as customizable as possible so you guys can tune this to your workflow. But this option at the top here is just syncing your order when it is updated. So you can choose to have your orders sync whenever they're updated always, or only if they are created after a certain date. So that's really up to you, how far back you want your orders to integrate and push over to inFlow. Second option we have here is importing orders into inFlow either as open or as completed. So what this means is, let's say you choose open and you have an order come in from BigCommerce to inFlow. If it is open, it will be unfulfilled in inFlow, which means you will need to manually pick, pack, and ship that in the inFlow sales order section. So depending on your workflow, this may be best for you. But alternatively, you can have your orders come in as completed. So let's say in this example, you have a BigCommerce order push over to inFlow. That order will automatically come in as fulfilled. So you don't need to pick or ship it and manually process the sales order. Your quantity levels will automatically be deducted and the order will automatically be fulfilled if you do choose to do this completed option here. But I'm going to go ahead and leave that as open. Third option here is setting your item description. So this is just up to your personal preference and what you need for your workflow. But you can choose to have your item description match the CartRover SKU, CartRover item name, or none. You can keep your inFlow description as is. So this is also up to you depending on what you want your inFlow item description to come in as. Lastly here for this pulling orders option, you can choose to set your customer name. So when your orders are being pulled in from BigCommerce to CartRover to inFlow, you can choose to have your customer name come in as the CartRover company name that's listed, the CartRover customer name that's listed, CartRover customer email that's listed, or a combination of the customer name and email. So for the purposes of the demo that I'm going to show you guys afterwards, I'm just going to set this to customer name and email. So you guys will see what that looks like. And importing order numbers. So you can choose to have your order numbers come in from, again, in these examples, we have BigCommerce and WooCommerce. You can import the order numbers as is. So let's say your order number that you're pushing from BigCommerce to inFlow is order 100. That will come in as order 100 in inFlow. However, if you'd like to add a prefix, which some of our customers do find helpful to help distinguish which orders came in from which e-commerce platform, you can do so. And we do have some prefixes here for you guys. So we have BI for BigCommerce. That'll be an indicator that's a BigCommerce order. But this is editable if you guys would like to change this to anything. So completely up to you. And then for WooCommerce, we have WO for Woo. But again, you can have these come in as is or with a prefix there. All right, and last but not least, we've got customizable options for how CartRover conflicts are resolved as well. So We do have our integrations, but sometimes there may be an issue with product matching or order matching or something along those lines. So if there is ever an error with any of your orders, those errors will either appear in inFlow if it's an issue with inFlow, with the integration between inFlow and CartRover, or they will appear in CartRover itself if there is an issue with CartRover and BigCommerce, for example. So you have a couple different options, a couple different areas you can check to see if there are any issues with your orders not coming in, your inventory levels not being updated, or your shipping information not being updated. However, these options here, you can choose to customize how these conflicts are resolved to a certain degree. So for example, if you can't find a matching taxing scheme, let's say we're trying to pull in your BigCommerce order and it has a tax of 10% that's not logged in inFlow, you don't have a matching taxing scheme that's 10%, you can choose to just automatically create a taxing scheme so you don't have to see an error message come through. Or you can choose to have an adjustment line be added to your order so that tax that's added to your order is just added in as a line item so that a taxing scheme is not automatically added to your inFlow account. Or lastly, you can just choose to stop importing the order and give an error so you can fix that manually yourself and add in the taxing scheme or fix the taxing schemes if that needs to be done. Same goes with matching pricing schemes, matching products, matching customers. You can choose to either create those schemes, products, or customers, or stop importing your orders and give an error if we can't find those matching fields. And lastly, if the imported order total doesn't match inFlow's calculations, you can choose to add an adjustment line to the order or stop importing the order and give an error. So just to go into what this means, sometimes inFlow will calculate an order total slightly different than how an e-commerce platform will do it. That's just due to rounding differences. So for example, maybe we round by 3 decimal points and BigCommerce rounds by 2 decimal points. That could mean that your order is off by a cent or two. So you can choose to add an adjustment line to the order if your order is off by any amount, or you can just stop importing the order and give an error if you'd like to see if your order totals don't match exactly. But we are completely done with the setup here. So I'm going to go into doing a quick demo. Well, I have a pre-recorded video of a quick demo of the order pulling, inventory pushing, and shipping pushing, shipping update pushing. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the little demo videos we have. So I'm just going to share a different screen here. And we're going to start with order pulling so you guys can see what that looks like. And in this demo, I am actually just using our BigCommerce test account so you guys can see what that'll look like with BigCommerce. Perfect. Okay, so to start here, I'm just in the BigCommerce account. So you can see BigCommerce's logo in the top left corner there. And I'm just creating a fake order. So I'm just putting in some customer details and creating an order so you guys can see what that order will look like once it is pushed into CartRover and then inFlow. So just scrolling through here and added in the customer billing information and now adding in my products. So these products here already are existing in both CartRover and in inFlow, and they all have matching SKU numbers. So that SKU number for the Adept product there, for example, is just right underneath that product name, excuse me, and same with the Archon product. So yeah, just right there. In just a second. But yeah, so again, it's very important for you guys to have your matching SKU numbers just so the integration is seamless there for you. You don't have any errors on your integration page. But here, this is just the order fulfillment section. So for the shipping address, and now we're just saving the order so that we can see what that'll look like once that's pushed over to CartRover and inFlow. We've got the shipping address details there that match the billing address details with a very real Canadian address, 100 Street Road. And there we go. So the order has been created, order 190, and the status is awaiting fulfillment. And if you guys remember there, I'm just going to show a quick screenshot of what that looks like on the CartRover side. but we have chosen the status of awaiting fulfillment to be the order status that does push over to inFlow. So that's just right in the middle here. There we go. So now we're on the inFlow page. So we're going to take a look at the sales order list. And I will preface with the order downloads, the orders will come in roughly every 5 minutes. So if you guys do not see an order come in immediately, don't be alarmed. That is just due to the CartRover stipulation of only pulling orders in every 5 minutes. So this order is already in our system here now, but again, don't panic if you don't see it immediately in inFlow. It may just be a little delay there. But yeah, as you can see, we have the BigCommerce order. It has the BI prefix there, so you can so you know that it's a BigCommerce order, and it's order 190. And we've got the customer information, billing address, shipping address. Everything is here. As per the settings, I've set it to have the customer name and email appear in the customer field. But again, that is completely customizable in the integration settings for you. And a little bit lower down, we have the products here. So the Adept and Archon sunglasses with the exact matching price, matching order. Yeah, there we go. So this is essentially it for the CartRover order pulling. So I'm going to move on to a couple little videos for our shipment information push. So let me just grab that video for you guys. All right. So here we are using the same order. Oh, sorry about that. We are using the same order. Right now I'm in the pick screen. Oh, okay, I think we're back. Right now I'm in the pick screen. So you don't necessarily need to pick the items before you ship them. If you ship them, they'll automatically be picked. But this is the ship tab in which you'll need to have your information filled out. You guys will notice the order is already fulfilled here, and the order will need to be fulfilled in order for shipping information to be pushed over to CartRover and, in this example, BigCommerce. So in order to fill out your shipping details, you'll just want to click on that details button that I clicked on previously, put in your carrier information, your tracking number. If anyone here is using our current EasyPost shipping integration, EasyPost will work pretty seamlessly with CartRover, and it will put in your carrier and tracking number here as well. But yeah, so just in that shipment details section where I just entered the carrier and the tracking number, that's where you're going to want to put your details in, and just have another highlight for that here. And I'm just going to go ahead and save the order, and we'll watch that push over to BigCommerce. And the BigCommerce integration does have an automatic shipment upload, so we should see that immediately, and I'm just demonstrating that here. However, if you guys did choose to select a different option for that, it may cause a little bit of a delay. And this is the BigCommerce side, so I'm just clicking into the order, and once it's refreshed, okay, it looks like it's awaiting shipment. I might just need to click on another section in BigCommerce here to see the shipment. Perfect. So now it's been refreshed. It's set to shipped. And you can see the shipment details on the right side here, just where my cursor is. You can see the tracking number. And once I click into that as well, you can see 2 items were shipped on the 13th. Once I click into that, you can see the carrier Canada Post. And again, the tracking number. Well, the tracking number was on is right there. There we go. Simple as that. So just make sure your order is fulfilled, put in your shipping information, and it should be a pretty seamless integration with CartRover to BigCommerce there. Okay, so last but not least, I've got our inventory push video to show you guys. This one's a little bit lengthier, but here is just where we're showing how to push over your inventory levels to BigCommerce. All right, so I'm using the Archon glasses as an example here. As you guys saw with the order push and the shipment push, we already have a matching SKU number that you can see right here on the inFlow side. And this is probably one of the most crucial points in which you'll need to have a matching SKU. If you are uploading your inventory levels from inFlow to CartRover and a BigCommerce, the SKUs definitely need to match in order for those inventory levels to be updated. Something very crucial to note as well is the total quantity available is what pushes to CartRover and to BigCommerce or whatever e-commerce platform you're using. But you'll see in this little section that you're looking at the quantity on hand. So quantity on hand and quantity available are different in our system for anyone who's familiar with inFlow. Quantity on hand is the amount of quantity that you actually physically have at your warehouse that you physically have. And quantity available is your quantity on hand minus whatever quantity you have reserved for any open orders. So let's say you have a quantity on hand of 10. You have an open order that hasn't been fulfilled yet, and it has a quantity of 5 for that product. And that is reserved for an additional open order. So your quantity available will then be 5 because we never want you guys to oversell your products. We only want you guys to be able to sell what you have available, what's not reserved. So your quantity available is what is going to push over. So let me just backtrack here so I can catch up with the recording. So yes, luckily in this instance, our quantity on hand and our quantity available exactly match, so we have 0. And I'm just taking a look at the CartRover product side, so we could take a look at the product with a matching SKU. So I'm putting in that SKU number, and as you can see, the total quantity for that product in CartRover is 0. So it's 0 in inFlow, it's 0 in CartRover, and I'm just looking at the BigCommerce side here as well. It is also 0 in BigCommerce. So you can see that matching SKU number I'm hovering over. You can see it's kind of tiny, but you can see current stock level is 0. I'm also just going to click in here so you guys can see the stock level a little bit bigger. But we got the matching SKU on the right-hand side. Scroll down a bit, quite a bit. And there we go. We've got a quantity level of 0 for the inventory for BigCommerce. So we're all at a standing level of 0. And now in order to trigger the push, there are a couple different things you could do. The main thing that you can do in order to trigger an inventory push is by changing the inventory levels for your products. So you could do that by bringing in purchase orders, selling products from sales orders, or you can do a manual stock adjustment. In this example, I'm just adjusting the stock to 5 for my Archon glasses here. As I mentioned, my quantity on hand for this product actually is already matching my quantity available. So you can see I have a quantity of 5 here. And now we're going to watch that update in CartRover. So you just click that. I'm just clicking that refresh, and you can now see my quantity level is 5 automatically. And that happens pretty quickly there. Now we're just going to take a look to see how that updates in BigCommerce. Yeah, I had just refreshed that there. And yeah, we got a stock level of 5. Perfect. I'm just showing you guys a little bit further. If you scroll down back to the bottom, you will see a current stock level of 5 for that product. And that's it. That's essentially the demo for all 3 portions of the integration we have here. It is a lot, but once you get into it, it gets a little bit simpler. And luckily for us as well, both CartRover and inFlow are very customizable, so you guys can tailor this to your own workflow. But you guys can send over an email to support@inflowinventory.com. And yeah, so we're just wrapping up.